the question because psychologically they've been damaged when they've gone against stiffer competition this season. They've struggled. The reality is when you're beating Denver and you're beating the Los Angeles Chargers and you're beating the Carolina Panthers, you look pretty damn good, just like you expected to look good with two of your last three games against the Atlanta Falcons and mixed in between games, a game against the Detroit Lions. So the bottom line is when it comes playoff time, they're not Green Bay, they're not New Orleans, they're not Seattle, they're not the Los Angeles Rams. These are the kind of teams that you're going to have to deal with if you are indeed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when you have a problem because you got the 27th ranked rushing attack because you forget to give the ball to Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette, when you sit up there and Antonio Brown arrives and you don't look the same because you're prioritizing getting him the ball and getting him some playing time, and the deep threat that was Scott Miller will help spreading your offense, suddenly he's being underutilized as well, and you see people complaining about that stuff too. These are the kind of things that you have to fix. If Tom Brady was playing with Bill Belichick, then we wouldn't be as concerned about it. And I'm not just even talking about the greatness of Bill Belichick. I'm talking about the continuity factor. But because we're talking about Tom Brady with Bruce Arians and how people have been speculating as to whether or not Bruce Arians is even going to be there next year because they're questioning whether or not he and Tom Brady are an actual mix. All of those things come into play. And I think beating Minnesota and closing out these last four games, winning all four of them, would go a long way towards it. I think another loss to a decent team like Minnesota, who's been coming on strong lately, hits you more psychologically. You might be able to overcome it a little bit against with the two Atlanta Falcons games and the Detroit games, but still in all, I wouldn't like it. I think it's important to win this game this weekend.
2 against the Falcons, 1 against the Lions.
You say the Vikings have been winning. They beat Jacksonville by a field goal. They beat the Panthers by a point. They lost to the Cowboys.
They've been coming on
this Vikings team has not been playing good.
They've been coming on instead of layoffs.
Yeah, better, but like that's damning them with faint praise. They have not been good.
They've struggled. The reality is when you beat Denver,
bad teams, and not always, as is the case, as was the case with the Cowboys. Before that, they had a little run through the NFC North. They've been actually playing worse and worse. It's being masked by an easy schedule.
So
meantime, the Bucs, who have they lost to recently? They got shellacked by the Saints. Yes,
they're not
the Saints, if you've noticed, have been shellacking the entire league. They've been destroying everybody. And then they lost to the Rams and the Chiefs in competitive games. Like, those are some of the best teams in football, right? Like, we're talking about, I just named maybe 3 of the 5 best teams in the NFL. And most of the time, the Bucs are competitive in losing. The Vikings are just getting squeakers by the dregs, by the bottom feeders. And that's why it looks like they're good. Stevens, like,
they also beat Green Bay.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they made a little run through the NFC North about a month ago, right? They beat the Lions, they beat the Bears, and they beat the Packers. They were on a little run. And then they started playing poorly. They lost to the Cowboys. They squeaked by the Panthers, squeaked by the Jags. You know, like, they could, like, if you want to say it's a must-win game against the Vikings, it's because the Vikings ain't that good. And you should really beat that team. My point is, even if you lose to that team, you're going to make the playoffs. You should sweep the last 3 games of the season. It's against bad opposition. I don't see why this is must-win.
Who's been coming on strong lately hits you more psychologically. You might be able to overcome it a little bit because of all the things we've talked about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wouldn't like they don't seem to be on the same page. I'm not saying that you win because, again, I'm not thinking about the playoffs. Of course, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm thinking along the lines of you being in the right psychological position to make that run. So many of us predicted you'd be able to pull off. Starting the season, we all speculated as to whether or not Tampa Bay was going to win the NFC South. But because we know that New Orleans had played together and they got Drew Brees and all of this other stuff. But when you looked at Tampa Bay, you expected Bruce Arians, along with Tom Brady, to be on the same page, particularly with the multitude of weapons and Evans and Godwin and Gronk, O.J. Howard before he went down. We didn't even know about Scott Miller. We certainly didn't know that Antonio Brown was going to end up there. You had Ronald Jones with Leonard Fournette. You certainly did not expect them to have as much trouble as they've had on the football field, particularly with Brady and Arians on the same page. I think every game is pivotal the rest of the way because of that relationship and how it needs to be once the playoffs arrive.
It's because the Vikings ain't that good.
And you 10 or 11 win team on paper, they're going to win 10 or 11 games this year.
You're going to make the playoffs. You should sweep the last 3 games of
all
the
right,
season.
Vikings.
Let's stuff aside all that. As you watch this guy stand back and throw the football, you don't see that accurate of a passer, period, number one. Number two, the way that Cam could move the chains, running the football. I'm not saying he still can't run the football because he's not immobile, but he's not the same. He can't shrug off tacklers the way that he once could because guess what? He's been hit a lot in his career. So even though he's 31 going on 32 years of age, it's like an older version of being 31 going on 32. It's not the same. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying he can never be a starter for somebody. I'm not saying he can't produce. I'm not saying he doesn't belong to be in the NFL. But when we looked at Cam as in Superman, that cape has come off. He does not look that way anymore. And that is the point that needs to be made about him.
Okay. I can acknowledge that he looks like a diminished version of himself at the moment. If Carson Wentz this season, his coach had his back, like, no, Carson's doing everything that's asked of him. If Carson Wentz got before the media and gave the kind of answers Cam is giving, just taking accountability, right? I mean, look at the difference. When Cam got yanked from the game, that's not my call, that's on coach. I got to do my job better versus Carson Wentz whining and moping, right? If Carson Wentz had COVID this year and came out of it, and that explains, like, there's a real dip in production. If Carson Wentz went to a new team coming off a catastrophic injury in the opposite kind, who just had the opposite kind of quarterback that he is, if all those things were true and he was doing this, I would have a different opinion of Carson Wentz. Completely different situation. I have seen Cam win an MVP and be voted by his peers the best player in football in the middle of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees' prime. His peers said Cam is the best. I don't know that that guy is gone forever. There are a lot of circumstances conspiring, I believe, right now to make him look worse than he actually is. And what he actually is a quarterback who's been a little unlucky and is one game below 500 on a team with no talent on offense.
All right, let me get in here, guys. So Cam has thrown 5 TDs to 10 interceptions. That's the worst rate in the NFL. But I want to focus in on the Rams making easy work of the Pats. They are first in the division. Max, are the Rams the best team in the West at this point?
Yeah, they are right now. They're the best team in the West. We have to be honest. The Rams win up front. You know, you think about them from a couple of years ago. Remember when we all wanted to see the Rams and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? The Rams would have been favored, like midway through that season, and the Patriots upset the apple cart there against both teams. But we really wanted to see because of the dynamic offenses, but the Rams also played defense. So you think of the Rams as this, play action, lots of receivers, Kupp and Woods and all these guys, but that's not actually the kind of team